Hey guys, what's going on? This is Deadly, and out of high demand, this is going to be one of my loot runs that I typically do on a regular basis on my live stream on how I collect my supplies when I first start in the game all the way up until I become with fully militarized. So going to either one of the military bases, Pavlovo, Mishkino, Northwest Airfield, Starry, Vereznik, you guys get the idea. A lot of people have been wanting to see this, so let's get started. And just to show you guys that this works on pretty much every single server, I'm just going to choose a random, we're just going to choose a random private server or public server, one that is nearly full, nearly 60 players full. And with a decent ping. So this one looks good. I've never played on this server before, so let's just jump in and see what it's like. Okay, so we immediately know that we are in Berezino, and Berezino isn't a bad spawn, actually, because we are really close to one of the major military, or not major military, but one of my major loot zones, which is Gorka. So in Upper Berezino, you can essentially go down and loot every single building that you can see to try to get some supplies, or alternatively, we could go up this hill this way and go to Gorka. Now, when I'm doing a live stream, I typically will do whatever is fastest. So how can I get to a military base as fast as possible? So a lot of times I am going to be missing out on certain items like basic guns and things like that, just because I might miss a couple buildings. But for you, you're going to want to probably loot as much as you possibly can from the get-go. So from I'm going to be doing this from a non-stream perspective, at least to get things going, because obviously for most people, there's going to be less pressure to get into PvP situations right away and more on general survival. So currently in 0.60, there is a lot of loot that you can find in just basic residential buildings. Even a lot, in fact, most of the ammo types that are high value that you can find inside of residential. Like 7.62 by 39, which is used in IZH 18s, SKSs, and AKMs. They do spawn in residential buildings. You can also find 7.60 by 54. That also spawns in residential buildings. So like shotgun ammo, 9mm, 45 ACP, 22, 308, you guys get the idea. The only ammo that you're probably not going to be able to find inside of residential buildings are 545, which is for an AK-74, and 556, which is for an M4 and an AUG. But the vast majority of ammo types will spawn inside of residential buildings. Also, I missed an ammo type as well. The 9 by, I forget the armor piercing rounds that are shot, the subsonic rounds for the VSS Venturas you can't find them inside of residential, obviously. You're gonna have to go to a Russian helicopter to find those. So, but you know, the vast majority of the ammo types that you will be looking for, especially right away, will spawn in residential areas, which is a massive change. Like if you go back and you watch one of my older guides, like the first guide I ever made in December 2013 on how to get loot in DayZ, a lot of the ideas are still correct, but the loot has changed location. And obviously back then there was only 3 weapons in the game, the M4, the Mosin, and the FNX 45. So there really wasn't a whole lot of diversity in the types of weapons and ammo types that you can find. So essentially it was as simple as going to a jail to find a hunting backpack and like an M4 and all these different types of mags and things like that. There's our first weapon, an IZH 43. Don't be afraid to use the IZH 43 right now, because the IZH 43 is actually a pretty powerful weapon. It's recently been buffed. If you guys didn't know, the shotgun, or this particular shotgun, has been fixed. If you guys haven't seen my When Things Go Wrong video, then I'm a little reluctant to use the MP133, and other people have been suggesting to me that me killing myself with that bug was not it wasn't a unique thing. It's been happening to a lot of other people as well with the MP. So that's just a fair word of warning for anybody who is interested in using shotguns. If you are, I would stick with the pistol grip pump shotgun or the IZH 43, which is the double barrel. Okay, we also picked up this yellow backpack. Now, if you're a stickler for camouflage, then you'll probably want to only use this just to get things going so you can actually collect some supplies. Another good thing to do is to actually make a stone knife to get things going, so I always highly recommend doing that. You can do so by searching these rock piles. However, I mean, we already have a knife, so we don't necessarily need to do that. But we're also going to want to collect a fairly large amount of rags as well to get things going, because you never know if you're going to need to make an improvised rope. So my rule of thumb is if I'm not going to wear it and I can cut it up, I typically do cut it up. So also, industrial sheds, guys. Stuff does spawn in industrial sheds. You can get a melee weapon if you want, but I'm going to pass on that. If you really want a good melee weapon, just make yourself a sharpened stick. And you could do that by taking this and going to a tree and cutting off a branch. It's just that simple. But for me, I'm not really going to need one, I don't think, but I don't know. We'll see if we run into somebody. Worst case, I'll just use a can of beans to try to fend off my enemies. Okay, so this is one of those things where people are going to be like, why did you take a smaller backpack, Deadly? Well, this is a first and third person, but let's say this was like first person. This backpack allows me to look over my shoulder, where like this backpack, for example, it kind of obstructs my view, especially when I'm crouching. It's also a massive yellow backpack, which is going to give away my position a little bit more than this purple pack will. So for me, I'm all about profile size more so than carry size. So the profile to item slot ratio is very high. And this is interesting, guys. Like, a 12 stack of shotgun ammo is not normal. It almost feels like this is actually somebody who dropped it. But we have a gun and we have an ammo. We have an ammo. We have ammo for our shotgun. And we have a shotgun. So if anybody tries to come and kill us, we should be good to defend ourselves, guys. We should be good. We also got 10 rounds of 22 damage. Probably not going to need those. I prefer blue than purple, personally. Again, it's all that personal touch. So maybe you like purple better than blue, you know. Whatever you want to do. Obviously, the green Talon is probably favored over the vast majority of Talon backpacks, but I would not really worry about it, to be completely honest. Your goal right now, if you are worried about camouflage, I love how a plan comes together. I swear this isn't scripted. I was about to say you're gonna want to find a burlap sack, and you're gonna want to find some rope, or either make some rope with 2 stacks of 6 rags. So that's kind of why I kind of run around and cut up as many things as I can. You can't cut up the tracksuit jackets, unfortunately, though. You cannot do that. I think that this is going to become a regular thing on the channel as well, guys, because I think this is something that a lot of people want to see a little bit more often, and I guess it's going to be sort of done in a Let's Play sort of tone that is a little bit different than my Twitch channel. But it's mainly going to be more informative and instructional. So I'm going to be trying to explain everything that I do and the reasoning behind it. Like, for example, I'm not going to take this big red backpack for the same reason why I wouldn't want to take the yellow backpack. But the green mountain packs are really, really good at storing supplies. So if you're doing loot runs for like a tent or like a stash, the mountain packs are good for collecting a lot of supplies. Just gonna beat that zombie with a can of peaches. And okay, this is interesting. We actually have ammo for the trumpet and the hunting scope combination, but the trumpet is really not one of my favorite guns. I'm not very good at it, neither with the sporter. So for this instance, I'm just gonna take the hunting scope and we're gonna move on. We do have 22 ammo for it though, so like that would be a situation where it's up to you. Like, do you want to take and double carry 2 weapons, or do you want to just stick with the shotgun and commit to it? Typically for me, I don't like to double carry because sometimes you can forget about dropping your gun on the ground, which can be a huge pain in the butt. And you might have to run back quite a long distance to find your gun that you've dropped. And I'm sure a lot of you guys who watch my broadcasts will know exactly. You'll know that happens quite often. So for me, and because I'm not very good with the trumpet, I'm just going to avoid using it. But again, to each their own. That would be a very good find for a lot of you guys out there, I'm sure of it. Okay, so Upper Berezino, I'm doing my best. We're not going to loot everything, but just try to do your best to loot as many buildings as you possibly can, I'm just going to keep on looting here. Looting and scooting is what I say. And we have a Red 9, which a lot of people call the best gun in the game. It's a bit of an inside joke, but it is a very good firearm because it's a 10-round 9mm pistol that does not require a magazine, which makes it very desirable. A lot of people do consider it to be one of the best pistols in the game, especially if you are a new player, because you do not need to find those magazines. You can just put the ammo on your hotbar like I did with the shotgun and press the number that it's assigned to reload your gun. It's very, very simple. I guess at this point it's also a good idea to take a look at your vitals. I mean, I'm hungry, I could drink some water, and there's a well nearby. You do have a lot of time as a new player, so it's not a huge deal. You don't need to be panicking right out the gate that you need to find food and water. But, since it's here, we are going to drink from the water pump. So let's go do that now. Typically, what I'll do, I highly recommend that you drink until you are bright green. Don't worry too much if you're stuffed. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to puke. And puking doesn't really do a whole lot right now, so it's not a big deal. And look at that, we got a big box of Crunchy Crisps right here as well. And we're going to eat those. It's them drinking the Crunchy Crisps. If you spam the well, you're going to get a little bit of an animation bug. Don't worry, it's rather normal for this to happen. So if you drink a lot, you will get this happen. So let's go eat the Crunchy Crisp now. And this should put us up quite a ways. Crunchy Crisps are really good food, but for me personally, as a kid, I hated Captain Crunch. Like, Captain Crunch was the bane of my existence as a child. My brother really liked Captain Crunch, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. It would always cut the roof of my mouth. So because of that reason, I usually avoid it. Like, the grudge runs deep. We're very close to vomiting, but it's, like I said, it's not a huge deal. But because we are full health, we don't necessarily need to have bright green hydrated and bright green energized. If you are low blood and you are on your own and you're wondering how to regenerate blood, well, we're gonna puke anyway, so I'll show you guys what's gonna happen when you get sick. So it's not a huge deal. While we're about to puke, I'm gonna take this first aid kit, and we're gonna empty the contents. You could test your blood. We can do that now. It's a good thing to know what blood type you have if you are going to be playing with friends, or if you're a blood bandit, like if you want to roll around and steal people's blood. We are A positive, so I'm pretty sure that we can only take, I'm pretty sure we can actually take O positive and O negative and A positive. I could be wrong though, I really don't know. Like, I'm not into like the medical system in DayZ that much, because I am a lone wolf player and blood bags are surprisingly not used very often. But I am going to be putting my most valuable items inside of my medical kit. And the reason why I am doing this as of patch 0.60, if you get shot, ooh, there it is. If you get shot, let's say my backpack gets ruined and the first aid kit gets ruined, the contents inside of the first aid kit, or frying pan, or cooking pot, protector case, ammo crate, they will not be ruined. They will maintain their status as pristine if you find them pristine or damaged or what have you. So it's a good idea to put your ammunition inside of some sort of container. So in a firefight, if you do get shot, for example, if my backpack gets ruined, I'm still going to be able to rely on that pristine shotgun ammo, which could be life or death, you know? Might roll around in third person. I prefer first person, but obviously, you know, play the way you want to play. If you're new to the game, I'm sure many people would prefer third person, but me personally, I am a first person player, so there's to each their own as well. It's not a big deal. We're gonna take the baseball bat just because, you know, it's goofy and we can try to make a nail bat. If you guys are into The Walking Dead, you'd probably be interested in making the Lucille. And vehicles are very good, so definitely check especially the trunks of vehicles. And I just want to let you guys know that I am taking my time here. Normally I would be flying through this town, but I do want to take my time so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing, and so I can kind of get a little bit more detailed on the ideas that I am having as we go along. So typically I would probably already be on my way to Gorka by now, most likely halfway there, but you know, for the sake of this instructional video, I am going to take my time with it. So just kind of like a heads up, this is not the normal speed in which I loot. I am definitely taking some time to discuss some ideas and some things for people who may be new to the game. Okay, so we haven't been making a whole lot of rigs, but you know what? Upper Berezino has been pretty good. Remember, this is on a full server, so we were able to find 2 pistols, a Red 9, and a revolver. We were also able to get a main weapon, a shotgun, an IZH 43 with ammo, and we also had the option to use a trumpet hunting scope. So that's also pretty, you know, it depends on your playstyle, but that would have been a good choice as well. So I'm just going to kind of roll through here. We're going to look for a rope, but if we don't find one now, we'll have plenty of opportunity to do so. Ooh, random spaghetti. How about that? And we can actually make our improvised rope now. I think. As long as items disappear, do some investigation. There they are. Okay, cool. Also, if you are a little concerned about bandages, there is another thing you can do. You can craft an armband, make a white little armband, and if you get shot at, there's a chance, well, most likely this armband will remain damaged, even if everything else is ruined. So it's a good thing to do if you are in an incredible pinch, but again, a lot of my teammates are sticklers for camouflage, so if they see you doing that, they're not going to be too happy about it. But you know, if you are down to 1 rag and you are in a firefight, definitely do that, like for sure, 100%. And since we just made a rope, we're gonna want some extra rags because we just lost 12 rags, so it's important to do that. Okay, also, you know what? It's time for us to eat some of this food, open up some slots for us. I always go for the sodas first because they offer the lowest value, and then I work my way up. So when I have a huge quantity of items, I always start with the lowest quality first when it comes to food, and then work my way up. That way, the highest quality food items I can keep, and I may not need them, and I can save them for if I don't find that much loot. Because surprisingly, once you're in the deep north, like the Northwest Airfield, Capanino, Starry, Vybor, it can be sometimes hard to find food. And it depends on your playstyle. You may not be open to eating apples all the time, which is unfortunately an exploit that makes it very easy to survive. I'm looking forward to the day that they actually fix that bug, because picking apples is a little OP. But honestly, again, like it's a game-breaking bug, but if you use it, I don't blame you. There's a lot of well-established YouTubers and streamers that have used the apple glitch. I myself have used the apple glitch from time to time. I do try to avoid it, but if I'm near a firefight and I'm streaming and people want to see the firefight, then I will just quickly pick some apples just to kind of, you know, get the survival aspect over with, you know what I mean? So again, it depends. It's your personal stance on the subject on whether or not you will do that. And if you're probably new to the game, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't worry about it, and if you want to learn more about it, I'm sure you can just Google it. It's probably going to be a separate video. Okay, we are almost bright green energized. I think we should probably get there. That way we don't have to worry about it in the future for a little while, and we can free up some inventory space for when we move to the next little town, which is going to be more inland and closer towards our end goal, which is a military camp. Anyway, there we go. We're hydrated, we're energized, we're ready to go. Some wire there. We're not going to do any tripwires today. Okay, there is a splitting axe. I will be taking this over the baseball bat. And let's start to move on. We're going to also make an improvised backpack, which is one of my favorite backpacks in the game. My favorite backpack, if you're wondering, is the boar pack, which is created in a very similar way. All you need to do is to find a boar, which can be very hard, kill it and skin it with a knife, and you will have a boar pelt, which is essentially takes the place of the burlap bag. So if you want to make a improvised leather pack instead of an improvised burlap pack, then that is just the method. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do if you want to make the full pack, you can either make the courier bag. This is the courier bag right here. Look at that. Some people prefer this if they're role-playing and whatnot, but for me, we want to get the big backpack. So once you make the improvised courier bag, you want to get 3 sticks by cutting a bush. There's other ways you can get sticks too, by cutting a branch off a tree and then splitting it into thirds. You can also search in the woods and woodland areas for items, for logs. And I can show you that right now, just in this example, since we're right here. If you're really in a pinch and you don't have a knife, you can find these ferns and you can search for a wooden stick here. Or like I said earlier, you can take your knife, cut off a branch, and then once it's in your inventory or on the ground, right click it and split it into thirds. But if you have a knife, bushes are everywhere, so you might as well just find one and cut one up. And when you move items into your backpack, don't forget to move the items back onto your hotbar. So that was basically Upper Berezino. We have the guns, we have the opportunity to find ammo for a revolver and a red 9. We got the IZH, we had an option to use a sporter hunting scope, which was awesome. I am well aware, though, that I did not loot every single building, so there might be some people in the chat, or in the description box, I mean, or not the description box, in the comment section, that are like, Deadly, you didn't loot all the buildings. You probably could have found something better. But for me, remember, guys, I am part speed, part efficiency. You know what I mean? So for me, that was good enough to get started because I am equipped to deal in a PvP situation. And once I get to that point and I have a decent backpack, and I am energized, I am hydrated, I'd like to move more inland so we can get to the military camps faster. The next video is going to be covering the mid-tier hunting gear. So once I collect my basic supplies from a coastal city like, for example, Berezino, I move into a town like Gorka, which has a lot of hunting stands and mid-tier weapon opportunities. So that is going to be happening in next video. And then in the final video, we are going to be going to the Northwest Airfield for a mixture of PvP and North Tent looting to explain how I collect all of my military gear and some strategies behind that as well. If you guys want to see more, definitely let me know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, it's a little bit different than what I normally do, then I hope you guys found it useful. And I'll see you guys next time.